Yeah.
How do you know
So
this is
and you can
correct?
see the calculation at the right of the right. If you scroll right, you can see
Ah,
the
okay.
calculations how I got the yeah.
Hmm.
But that took a
That makes
lot of
sense.
time. I'm sure. I'm sure you have some better ways to do because you solved the entire case in less than half
Oh,
an
you would
hour.
think so, but a very ugly solution. I tried to be nice.
Yeah.
So level 6 and 7 were very similar. So I figured if you do 6 well, then you can just copy it down to 7 and get the answer for free. Um, and there's sort of a nice way to do 6. When a bomb explodes, I can't stop the scrolling. Sorry. When a bomb explodes, you know what the radius is, so you could sort of float fill from the bomb outwards, and then mark all the cells that explode, and then keep track of all the bombs that explode in the process. And that's sort of a nice way to do it. And I tried that, and I got like half points on level 6 and then half points on level 7. So I figured let's just go the ugly way, and that's just for each bomb, iterate over the entire grid and check if it explodes, and then do that over and over. It, not happy with the solution, but it was the only way to get this working in time. The 30-minute limit is a bit a thing.
I was really amazed by your performance in this case. It was really impressive. Like under 30 minutes, you managed to get a full point using only Python.
There was a bit of luck involved, let's put it that way. I think I had like 2 minutes to get -5 down.
It's still impressive.
Yes, yes. Great case, great case.
I
Well
think it.
designed. The goat was a bit. I don't know what the goat was doing there for -3. I was expecting it to come back in like level 7 or something, but it didn't.
I have a question for you. Do you have some kind of Python library like for the competition?
Yes, yes. So I've got both a Python library and then a library of VBA commands through OA robots.
Oh, okay.
And for the goat, like the OA robot part was really useful because
Mm-hmm.
getting background colors is something you can't do in Python. I don't think you
Mm-hmm.
can even do it in Excel formulas. So VBA is the only option.
Yeah.
Maybe there's an alternative, but I'm not aware. Let's put it that way. So I've got in that case I can select a range of cells and then is this selective? I can do inspect and then it
Mm-hmm.
generates a sheet like this one
Mm-hmm.
where it just
Mm-hmm.
lists all the cells in the selection.
Mm-hmm.
And then for every cell it gives me like the foreground color, the background color, the font that's used. So basically everything that you
Oh,
can't retrieve without VBA. So that this way I can pull it into the Python world and do Python magic on top of it. The downside is that this sheet is like 8 megabytes in size, and that is too large for the platform. So that was a bit of a hassle to get submitted.
mm-hmm.
But yeah, without this command, this -3 would have been impossible for me. I have no way to do it any other way. I don't even know how I would do it without VBA.
Yeah. And when you solve this kind of case, do you use like data frame or you transform it into a list?
Both. At first I used just plain data frames, and now I've
Uh-huh.
got some scripts to easily convert to lists. So uh, here, for example, I select something from the sorry if I butcher this Tsipopoka
Mm-hmm.
sheet,
Mm-hmm.
and then I've got .x, which is sort of my extension to it, and then .all, and that
Oh,
.all, and that then returns a list of all the rows.
okay.
There is a pandas way to do the same thing. It's just that this is shorter, and then this is more geared towards my use case.
Mm-hmm.
So I do things like this all the time, and then in all I can also pass like a query. So I can do like where ID is greater than 5,
Mm-hmm.
and then it gives me all the rows with an ID greater than 5 as a list. So this is built on top of standard pandas APIs, and then with some of my own magic in a nice little private library. I wouldn't want
Okay.
to share this competitive advantage. And then for some things, I have some more elaborate libraries, I would say. So for graphing problems, I tried
Mm-hmm.
to do this with a graphing library that I have. So this is just some code to parse a 2D graph and then do some possibility things and distance things. And then this again is built on top of a Python library called NetworkX, which is quite popular in the
Mm-hmm.
Python world, which contains algorithms for things like a shortest path and a
Mm-hmm.
lot more things
Mm-hmm.
graph related, which I thought would be very useful for level 6 and level 7, but I couldn't
Yeah.
get that to work properly. So I just dumped it, and there's some remnants of it left over in my code. But in the end, this thing's unused. I still have no clue why it didn't work. It's supposed to give some nice helpers to iterate all the cells within a given distance of another cell,
Mm-hmm.
but that thing didn't do the thing I expected it to do. And to
Oh,
this day, I
okay.
have no clue why.
And under the time pressure, how do you manage to debug some Python code like in life?
Sorry, what's the question?
You know, the competition is meant to be solved in 30 minutes, and
Yeah,
when you encounter some errors in your code, how do you manage to debug it in so much in so much pressure environment?
yeah. So it's a lot of very ugly debugging, sort of, where if something doesn't work, I just print everything that is useful to be printed, and then you just go over it line by line. That's what I usually do. And then part of it is also, I mean, it's a bit obvious, but don't make mistakes, maybe.
Uh-huh.
For most of the levels, that works. For the very hard ones, I do tend to make some mistakes along the way. Usually, they are quite obvious ones. Um, and then in Python, usually when the code explodes, you get a nice little stack trace, or at least
Yeah.
you can uh, get that nice little stack trace. Python and Excel is a bit of a problem there, but I found a workaround to that.
Mhm.
So usually that gives enough hints to fix the issue. And
Mhm.
then sometimes you have like a solution that looks perfect and that only gives you half points. And then usually the only solution I have is to just start from scratch, remove everything, and take a different route.
Mhm.
So that's what I did in level 6 and level 7 here, because I had no clue what was going wrong, and I had like 8 minutes on the clock, I believe. So I was like, there's plenty of time to shift gears and try another route, rather than sitting here for 8 minutes and not getting any
Mhm.
more points. But that's a bit of a mental thing. Sometimes I decide to do that in time, and sometimes there's 2 minutes left, and I'm like, this isn't going to work, and now I don't have any time to rewrite. So sometimes it
Yeah.
works, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah. Because
Mhm.
I watched you in Las Vegas last year, and yeah, it was really incredible on live on stage. I think that we should start directly with Botnet because his connection is lagging. If you don't mind, he will come back.
Sure.
Do you wanna start with the bonuses or directly with all delivers?
Oh, I'm fine
Like,
with
how
either.
did
But
you?
so
Uh-huh.
bonus one is where it usually starts. So I when it's a live thing and there's bonus lockouts, I do start with the bonuses. But in this
Mm-hmm.
case, I started with just going through uh, what the data looked like and how I can get that into my Python world here. So
Mm-hmm.
um, I didn't fully read the questions, but I read question one, and then I figured like, okay, I'm going to need all the data and all these cells into uh, a format that I can easily query. So in this case,
Mm-hmm.
I want to be able to go, okay, given an idea, I need a radius, a radian. And then for the map, obviously, you need to do some 2D magic at some point.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to be able to iterate that. And then the goat was a bit of a wild card. I saw it was
Mm-hmm.
used in bonus 3, but at first case couldn't figure out where else it was used. Usually in these cases, bonuses build on top of levels, not the other way around. So I was a bit of a strange one, so I left that one for last. Um, so I started out with just like the basics, getting the data into Python, and then that's basically all of this. So mapping IDs to radiuses, then reading the grid into Excel, into Python, and then some magic on the grid. So getting the width and the height out of it. You need that quite often. And then obviously I called these bombs at some point. Bombs have IDs, and every bomb is represented on the map. So you need a way to map like. I was wrong. You need a way to map like bomb 1 is at location x is 5, y equals 0, for example. I don't know if there's. I can't read this. Sorry. So I stored that at first. So that's what I did at first, and then I started answering the questions based on top of that data. So bonus 1 was quite easy. How many bombs are there? Which is just the amount of locations, bomb to XY mappings that I have. So this one basically came for free from the preparation, which was nice. And I believe from there I started with level 1, which was just what's the radius of a given bomb. So I already had that available. Level 2 was going from bomb ID to location on the map. So I had X and Y pairs for every bomb. And then I have a little function, because this appears so many times in MEWC cases, where given an X and a Y, what's the cell reference? And then I have that rooted at a given cell. So by default, this root is A1. So X equals 0, Y equals 0 is A1. But in this case, the grid starts at B2. So my X0, Y0 is at B2. And then it goes relative from that. So that was basically free. This was basically the same question, but instead of giving the cell reference, you were asked for the column as a number, which also came for free from this XY pair that I had for each bomb. And then it got a bit more complicated, where suddenly you had two bombs, but it was still sort of derivable from the data I already prepared. So given bomb 1 and bomb 2, I had x1, I had location 1 and location 2, and then the distance between those two. If you're familiar with Python, this should look fairly easy. If you're not familiar with Python, it probably doesn't, and it looks as much magic as Dim's Python solution, Dim's Lambda solutions did to me. This one, here it got a bit more complicated. So this was the first thing where you had to do some explosions, I think.
You need to do the explosion with this level.
Yes. So here I started thinking that there was a nice solution to explosions. And then I figured, in this case, you don't have to go the nice solution yet. You can just iterate over all the other bombs and figure out whether they are within the blast radius of the one that's asked about. And then you can find the one that's closest out of all of those that are within the radius. Which is fine, because there's only 500 bombs, so this only iterates over 500 bombs, and then throws most of them away because of the radius thing. So this ended up being fast enough. That's sort of a concern with Python and Excel, because it's fast until it isn't, and then when it isn't, it's really slow. So then suddenly you can be waiting a minute to get all your answers in, which is maybe my code is sometimes just slow. Maybe Python and Excel is slow. I don't really know. But it's been a bit of a concern in recent cases. And then level 6 and level 7 are all about actually simulating the entire explosion and then getting things from it. So I think level 6 is about the number of exploded bombs other than the one that you are given, and then level 7 is about the number of exploded cells. So if you set 6 up correctly, then you get 7 essentially for free. You're just asked for a different output. So I believe yeah, I read level 7 first, and then I read level 6, and then I was like, okay, I can do both at the same time. If level 6 is correct, then level 7 must be as well. And that's where it kind of went off the road.
Mm-hmm.
So with level 6, I was hoping for a nice solution where I would see a bomb and then only evaluate the cells that actually exploded,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and then do that in a cascading fashion as bombs explode. But I couldn't get that to work, and for some reason it worked on some of the levels and it didn't work on some of the others. And
Mm-hmm.
um, yeah, so eventually I figured like I can just explode this bomb, and then to simulate it, I can just enumerate the entire grid, and then
Mm-hmm.
for each cell determine, does this bomb exploded? Yes or no?
Okay.
If
Mm-hmm.
yes, is there another bomb on the cell? And then add it to the list of things to explode. The problem is that in a case of like 21 bombs that explode, I iterate the entire grid 21 times, and I was
Mm-hmm.
sort of scared for a case where maybe all 500 bombs would explode, in which case
Mm-hmm.
this is pretty slow. Um,
Yeah.
but that ended up not being the case, so that was sort of a gift in a sense. So because the number of bombs that exploded was fairly low, this was fast enough here, and that also gave me the trust that it would be fast enough on level 7.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that was so level 6 is I solved level 6, I believe. Then I did uh, copy all and then paste it down, and then I just changed the thing that I outputted. So instead of
Mm-hmm.
the number of exploded bombs, it's the number of it's the sum of all the cells with
Mm-hmm.
integers on top of them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then I believe I only had a few minutes left to get the bonuses in, or maybe I did bonus 2 and 3 at first, and 4, yeah, and then level 7 was still open, but level 7 is then again basically a copy of bonus 5 is basically a copy of level 7,
Mm-hmm.
but instead of exploding one bomb, you're exploding them all,
Mm-hmm.
um, which still uses the sort of slow approach, but since you only have to do it once, I figured it's fine.
Yeah,
um,
it's a great approach.
yeah, and then bonus 3 was based on, oh yeah, on the OI robot stuff that I showed previously.
Mm-hmm.
Bonus 2 was pretty easy, just iterate over the map, and then for every integer value on the grid, then just sum it up. And something similar for bonus 4 apparently. Some of the row numbers specified in level 3.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I basically had that. So level 3 was about giving the column number, and then bonus 4 is about giving the row number, which is basically the same thing. If you already have an if you already have a bomb to XY coordinates mapping, so
Mm-hmm.
instead of taking the X, you take the Y value and
Mm-hmm.
get the answer out of that. I think this is one of the sort of cases that I still want to get faster at. I've heard
Mm-hmm.
about participants having lambdas and alternative solutions to get like the the level data into their cells. I don't. So for a bonus like this, it's sort of easy. So it's just one range of cells. But
Mm-hmm.
sometimes there's questions about uh, the data in level 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then I'm frantically selecting all the cells and then copying the range and then copying that into my Python
Mm-hmm.
cell and then going back down 4 times in a row, which is, especially when there's going to be bonus lookouts, that's an issue.
Yeah.
Um, so far, I don't know whether there will even be bonus lookouts in Las Vegas this year. I think everyone was quite pleased that they weren't there in Amsterdam a couple months ago,
Mm-hmm.
but they are still in the rules, so I'm sort of preparing for them to be there. Um, so that's one of the things that I'm still working on.
Yeah.
And then there's a lot of work on trying to get my Python code to evaluate quickly. So recently I swapped I switched to manual calculation mode on everything. So that's why all of these cells have a little line through them. Because usually if you have it on automatic calculation mode and you make a change to one Python cell like this one, it calculates all the Python cells in front. And there's really no way to stop that. So what happened was that occasionally my solution to level 2 was very slow. And then I started working on level 3. And then while I was working on level 3, every time I wanted to try something, it would recalculate level 2, which would then take, say, 5 or 10 seconds. And that just cascades down the line. So with manual calculation, you can obviously prevent that. But then the issue is that sort of you become the one that has to manage dependencies between cells. So if this cell depends on something that happens here, and I change this and I don't run it, then this thing isn't going to work. So I'm still trying to figure out how to manage that properly. Maybe it's just practice, and that's just it. But yeah, so that's sort of what I'm still going for. There's a couple months, I suppose, before the playoffs start again.
Yeah, I think that you still have enough time to prepare for the final day. Yeah. Have you ever thought to set up like a YouTube account to share this kind of ideas? Because I think that it will interest a lot of people in the community, especially. It's really incredible. How do you manage to tackle an Excel case just with Python? I am really amazed by your methodology here.
Yeah, so there's two ways to that, right? On the one hand, sharing is nice. On the other hand, if someone else is very good at Python, there's a competitive advantage to be held here.
Yeah.
The balance is sort of weird, right? So
yeah,
yeah.
It's fair.
On the other hand, I don't think there's that many Python participants, so there's not a lot to lose. And I mean, Dimashev is Lambda library, and nobody is beaten in with it. So, I mean, maybe it's more fair than reality. But mentally, it feels like it might be a problem.
Now I'm trying to set up my own Python library just for like creating a case here in Madagascar, because I'm not competing anymore in the local chapter competition. But I don't really know how to start. Have you like kind of tips for me for this kind of stuff?
Ooh, that's a hard one. So I started with Python years ago. So that's sort of I brought that into Excel, and I don't know. So if you can program in any language, then Python is easy to pick up because it's the easiest among all of them, basically. But learning to program is I don't have any tips. I learned on my own by just doing and then failing a lot. And for me, that worked. Some people go to university for it and learn it there. But in the end, you just do it, and that's the only way to learn anything, I suppose.
Yeah.
I do still want to learn like the Lambda way of solving these cases. I think so. At the moment, you can't really mix Lambdas with Python and Excel. It would be nice to find a way. Sometimes there's levels that are just easier to solve with Lambdas, or at least I can see Dim rush through them like there's no tomorrow, and then like in a minute he solves like 3 levels. I can't do that with Python. Like there's too much setup and switching between cells. Maybe there's shortcuts that I don't know about. Like I do everything with the mouse and the keyboard here. It would be nice to have sort of a hybrid there, especially for bonus lockouts again, where sometimes bonuses get locked out within a minute. There's 3 bonuses gone. That's
I think that you should just search the perfect balance between using Python and Lambdas, and if you manage to do it, you will have a really big competitive advantage.
The downside is that Python skills are valuable in my real job, and Excel skills are not at all. So I'd be learning it just for the competition. The question is whether that's worth it.
Okay. Just I think you will learn how to do it in Excel because you're really good at Python. I think that Excel will be easier for you to learn.
Uh, I'm not sure. The mental model is so different. And like in Python, you can just like, I have a dictionary of like bomb IDs to XY mappings. I have no idea how to well, I mean, I know how to represent this in Excel, but it's going to be a table that's 500 rows long, which is, sort of hard to navigate through. Here's just 4 lines of
Yeah.
code, and that speaks to me in a way that a 500 row table doesn't. Um, I'm sure there's a way, but so far it hasn't been worth it. And I feel like I'm not really like at the ceiling with Python and Excel yet. So, I'm sort of pretty good at solving cases, and I hope that as I get better, there's a way to get closer to where Dim and where Sergio and where Jarman are at.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm sort of sometimes a case fits me really well, and I can just get above them, and then other
Mm-hmm.
cases I'm like way down the line and somewhere mid pack in a quarterfinals.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so the main goal is to just practice a lot, expand my Python library a little bit, and then hopefully get that variance a bit down and just score a bit more consistently, and hope as much that the case suits me, but just rely on
Mm-hmm.
my skill a bit more.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. So I don't know much Python. I definitely know more Excel than Python. So my question to you is, where do we start if you want to learn Python? I've already um, do my research, and I should learn Panda, but uh, from what I understand, Panda is good for working with tabular data.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yes.
for example, here it's a map case,
Hmm.
um, sort of,
Yeah.
and that's there's no way I that Panda is useful in this case. So um, from the esports lens, where
Hmm.
should we start if we want to use Python in Excel?
Yeah. So it's a bit hard. So I suppose learning to program is the first thing, um, which is understanding variables and loops and if else conditions and things like that. The very basics, so to say. And then a pandas, yeah, pandas is great for tabular data, but it's you know a map is quite similar to a table. You just don't have column headers. It's still 2D data, like a table is. So pandas has a couple utilities to quickly convert to uh, a list of lists, essentially, which is what a grid is.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's once you're in that world and you have just a list of lists,
Mm-hmm.
um, you have your 2D map in Python, and you can just do for each row in the map, and then for each cell in that row, and then you can do things on that level.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, it's really all about practice. I mean, you can do things with lambdas that I can't do. For example, it's I can use some product and that's it. So yeah, I think if
Okay.
I practice lambdas, I could get good at it. While if you practice Python, you could get good at it. The question is it worth it? You are so good with lambdas, you might as well get better with lambdas. I think the rankings show that at the moment, lambda-based solutions still outrank Python-based ones. So where do you put your time and your effort? It's a big question.
Yeah. Um, I want to continue on that sense. I'll take another example. Let's say we have a case with arrows. So you have a start location, you have a sequence of movements,
Hmm.
and do you so do you parse text with Python, or is there a I'm not sure. I'm not familiar with with how you do
So
it. Yeah.
yes, so um, after um, what was it called? MEWC in Amsterdam. We had a round of Excel with some lads in close to Amsterdam, and there was a case with a lot of arrows and then movements on a grid, and one of us was very fast at it, and it wasn't me. So after that, I have a little utility, so I can quickly convert like arrows to um, what I call delta x and delta y. So if you have an arrow to the right, it gives me like delta x is 1, delta y is 0. So it's essentially moving one to the right. I have a library for that now. At the time I did it, and I was just saying, okay, basically copying like part of a cell containing the arrow and saying in Python this is 1 to the right, 0 to the 0 on the vertical x,
Mhm.
and that for every, I think, all 8 arrows that we have. So that was a bit of a time sink. But now I do have a way to like do things like, I think it's this one, the XDY. So I can do like an arrow like this if it runs. It doesn't. Let's calculate the entire sheet. Might as well. So this gives me an arrow to the right gives me delta x of 1 and a delta y of 0.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I've got this, and this works for like all known arrow icons. I tested it on about 100 of them, so in case the case editor comes up with one that I haven't seen yet, I'm sort of confident that will still work. And then there's of course also work with things like east,
Mhm.
um, and west, and left and right. So it's a bit flexible. You never know what case authors are going to come up with, so you try to be sort of defensive against potential tricks they may use, like using different characters or calling them by different names. Um, so yeah, I'm hoping that the next time someone comes up with a case with a lot of arrows, I'm set, but you never know. So
Okay. That makes sense. um, One question that I'm not sure if you've already answered
mhm.
in some way, but I was looking for resources that you would recommend. So just one question before that: how do you even practice for the competition? Because as I think there's a limit to Python in Excel. If you practice too much, you spend all of the tokens during the month. So how do
Yeah, so
you practice? Yeah.
Microsoft is a company there, right? So I've got the business license to Excel and to Python in Excel, which has higher limits supposedly and faster compute supposedly. Um, and then
Okay.
my business has three employees, which are all myself. But in case one account runs out, I just switch to the next one. I haven't seen it
Mm.
happen yet, but I don't want to be the guy that runs out of tokens on stage. That would be bad. So in case that happens, I can switch to a secondary account, and then I have a third account purely for
Ah.
training, so that I don't mess things up for the live cases. I think at the moment I only have 2 licenses running because it doesn't make sense to pay for 3 at the same time
Mhm.
uh, when it's not a live thing. Um, so that's how you get around the token problem. Um, and then practice is how do you practice is just former cases. I have the advantage, so to say, that I started with these competitions only about 2 years ago ish. So there's a lot of old cases to pick from that I haven't done yet. Um, while obviously, if you've done this for 5 years, then at some point going to run dry on the list of things that you can practice from because you've done all of the cases live. But I don't have that issue, so I think there's like 100 cases that I haven't done yet. um, and this is where
You
you,
can
you
double that. Uh, you can double
yeah,
that with Madagascar pieces.
Yeah.
yes. So yeah, it's just a lot of doing. I used to only open Excel for like the live RTLV battles, but now that we are sort of getting closer to the playoffs and then also sort of closer to the finals where I do realize I have sort of a shot, so I'm doing more old cases in my free time just to keep the practice going a bit and ensure I have some okay chances at doing well at the finals this year. It's always a bit of a gamble, I suppose, but I hope it pays off.
Yeah, yeah. Um, okay. So I've got my answers. One thing that I cannot replicate in what you mentioned is getting multiple licenses, multiple business licenses, because I'm already using the normal license, but
Oh,
it's not really relevant for me to get more than one. Yeah.
yeah. So I think the free license is I don't know what Python what Microsoft offers on the free license, to be honest. I know that they
Mhm.
limit certain calculation modes to certain licenses. Uh, so I think you have to pay to get the manual calculation mode working with Python and Excel, which is something that never upset me because I had the license already when I found this out. But I do see a lot of value in manual calculation modes nowadays because Python in Excel doesn't have like the smart dependency calculation that the formula based thing seems to have.
Mhm.
Where, correct me if I'm right, but if you have a formula here and then you use that formula here in another cell and then you have a bunch of other formulas in the sheet, it only recalculates like this one when you change this one, for example.
Mhm.
Uh,
Yeah. If
so
if
it
they are
tries to
connected.
figure out exactly what it needs to recalculate. But with Python and Excel, it doesn't do that. So if you make a change here and then you run this cell, it triggers everything in front of it, regardless of whether there's a connection. So that's where manual calculation mode comes in really handy sometimes because you can limit how much it recalculates and sort of do that smart dependency calculation manually. Um, but yeah, you have to pay for that. So that's sort of a limit there, I suppose.
Yeah, a question that pops up in my head is: have you already tried using alternatives like add-ins?
Yeah, you sort of. So when I started with the MEWC competitions, I started with VBA. So that's what I did at first for a couple of battles before Python and Excel was a thing in the beta channel. Um, and then I have looked at add-ins. So there's a couple of popular add-ins to get Python into Excel, other than Python and Excel. But sort of my main concern with those was that if you want to participate in live competitions, like in-person ones, you are sort of limited in add-ins that you can bring and that you can install on arena machines. So we obviously know that OA Robot works, so that's fine. But anything else is a bit of a gamble whether you can actually use it when you're on stage. And I don't want to be practicing with an add-in if I already know that I might not be able to use it on stage.
Mhm.
Because then I prepare like a full on stage, not being able to solve a single level. So that's a trade-off, I suppose.
Yeah, that makes sense. Um, yeah. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think you've already. I've got a list of questions in my screen, but I think you've already answered all of them. I don't know how about Christian.
I think that yeah, it's all of it. That's about it for me too. Everything goes clear.
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. One thing that I wanted to ask, but you've already answered, was do you really not plan to share your knowledge with people? You've
Yeah.
already answered. When you compete live, I'm one of the guys in the live chat that says, hmm, I would pay for a course from Jasper, but
Exactly. Exactly.
I mean, learning how to program in Python, there's dozens of courses on that. I mean, I suppose that's great to get started. I'm not a teacher in that
yeah,
sense, so I'm not great at
definitely,
doing that sort of content.
definitely, yeah. um it's from my perspective. I think it's why I'd really love to have you produce content is because there's always an added value because you are experienced in the esport format.
Hmm.
um Courses about Python normally is about data analysis or machine learning, and
That's
there's not
fair. Yeah.
usually problem solving
Hmm.
tutorials. So I
I will
think
think about
you
it.
you would have, yeah, you would have an added value there. Yeah,
Yeah, I
I'll
think
think
that there
about
is
it.
a lot of difference between the native Python and the Python in Excel in the way you should tackle a problem, like setting up
Hmm.
all the data for solving the case.
Yeah, I suppose there's a bit of a difference there.
Yeah,
I Yeah, to me that difference seems small, but I've done a lot of competitions with Python before, so I suppose that it is a bit of a bias that I have there.
yeah. So I
Cool.
think that's everything from us. Do you have anything to add?
Oh, I have one question. Uh,
Yeah.
the case name, Bim Bada Boom, and Tsipa Poka, how do you pronounce it?
Bim Bada Boom is just Bim Bada Boom, and
Okay.
and Tsipopok is as you pronounced it, it's Tsipopok.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
Yeah. And so why it's actually so initially it was the pump word,
yeah.
but since we live streamed the case, we didn't want Meta to to flag us as a terrorist, so we
okay.
changed all of the pump words to Tipo. Yeah.
Okay. I see.
Yeah, and something that I forgot to change was the B at the start of every
Ah, okay.
every bomb name.
Okay.
Yeah, it should have been a T, but
It should be a T.
it still
Yeah.
works.
I see.
Yeah,
Nice consideration.